Whoever is younger is elder.
Okay, that's also part of the story.
You said you're the youngest. What? You put your foot in your mouth. It's fine.
I'm glad we all have a sense of humor. Sholom Yaakov had a very good sense of humor. He showed us, especially in his last few years, unbelievable how he overcame all of the things that held him back in his early years. He was a very reticent person. It was very hard to make decisions. It was one of the hardest things to make decisions. And he made decisions in the last few years. And he did it. And he talked to Hashem all the time. And he learned Torah all the time. He made a point to make his life dedicated. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I brought a text here from Shaul Gilgulim that I have 3 of. And the Zohars that are usually read at Yahrtzeit all have to do with neshama going up, meeting relatives. The levush and neshama is made out of the masim tovim. We know that that's so important when somebody leaves behind mitzvot that are continuing on in their absence. Usually children, something. Here, Sholom Yaakov did not leave behind children. He did not leave behind any family, apparently. He left behind only his instructions to continue giving tzedakah. So it should be a melitz tov for him in the Ilui Neshama Atzuma on his first Yahrtzeit. I see the Yahrtzeit as like a trampoline. The idea is when you jump down, the farther down you jump into the trampoline, the higher up you go, and then it goes. So the Neshama Mamish takes a dive down on Yahrtzeit and has an incredible aliyah as a result because it connects to the goof. Once I was learning a piece of Torah about the Yenuka in the Zohar. It was a young boy who was the son of Rav Yeba Saba, maybe. Huh? Rav Hamnuna. Right, Rav Hamnuna. An amazing character. And I was learning with my son. He was a very young boy because he was a Yenuka, so I took him on my lap. And he told me that his Rebbe had told him that this idea that when a person leaves behind family and relatives and they're doing mitzvahs and they're saying Kaddish and they're giving tzedakah, that's the way that the neshama has aliyah in the Olam HaEmet. And I had just read a piece of Shaul Gilgulim at the time in which the Ari gives another position. It's not a contradiction. Everything is needed. But the Ari is talking in Shaul Gilgulim in Hagdama Chavbet 22 about that there's a when a neshama goes up, it's immediately judged. So I have this here and I have this here. It's a translation of the Shaul Gilgulim, and it has the Perush of the Bnei Aharon in it of Rav Agassi. And the idea is that he asked the question, why does the neshama have to get judged on the Yahrtzeit if it was judged on when it first went up from this world and it went up to the Olam HaEmet? What do you need to judge it again for? So on the pshat level, like I said to my son, It sees what's going on down here in the wake of this person's passing. Who's doing tzedakah, who's doing kaddish, who's doing mitzvahs, and that's an incredible thing. It's an incredible boost. The Ari says there's another level here also, and I'll just make it short, but I got to get to it. So it'll be 1 second. There it is. So he says on page 2, the tzaddik after his passing from this world, he is destined and prepared to rise up, b'madrega, gradually, b'ma'alot gedolot v'olam haba. He is destined to rise up gradually to a very exalted levels in olam haba, the spiritual dimension. The neshama of the tzaddik, when it goes up from this world, it goes up gradually and eventually reaches very high levels. Aval lo b'pam achat, but not in one shot. Homnam tekef achab ptirato ya'anishuhu limarek ha'avonot hayoter hamurim al shelo. Rather, immediately after his passing, he is penalized and judged in order to cleanse and purge him of his more serious infractions. Achar kach yachzeru lahanishuhu od al dikduke mitzvot shem kechut hasara. Oh, I missed a line. Yachaziruhu lahanisho od limarek hachateim hayoter karim min Yerushalayim. And then they bring him back, and they, on the next page in English, bring him up one level. When his turn comes to rise up to the next higher level, they judge him again in order to cleanse him of those infractions that are less serious than the first. And then they raise him up even higher. And after this, they judge him again for
koyach, right? Even young people run out of gas once in a while. The Knutza in our oime, we didn't even the seva. When the gold get older, this person gets older, still it will rebloom. The came in oime, the Abraham Avinu, the Sholom, the Abraham Zokein, the Kuli, the Hashem, the Be'ak, the Abraham Bakoyim. Sinus also Abraham Avinu is still a Terakula, actually, Abraham Avinu kept the entire Torah even before it was given. Shenamar Eikev Asher Shoma Abraham B'Kerli Yishmon Mishmarti Mitzvaysai V'Koysai V'Sarei Yisrael Solik Mitzvah Kedushin Adam Lach Seiv Mashim. They happened so.
The Roy was lost in the rock. It wasn't the sun,
Okay.
You know, I just want to say one sort of thing. When you look, the person looks in their phone. Very often the phone lights up and it lights up their face. When you were looking in that safer, your face was being lit. It was very nice. And that's not an electronic thing. Like it's a real.
As Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people some of the time.
person eats from its sky in this world, the Torah. Right? It means the Torah gives him life in everything that he does.
And the middle says that
Torah, right?
you catch me through the 12. Right.
Torah is able to guide a person no matter what's happening to him. So that's what it means. He eats from its Torah, better than Hazar.
Got it.
Before you fall asleep. Besides, this was your birthday yesterday.
Yesterday. That's why I was in London yesterday. I want to thank Hashem for all the chasadim. There was somebody there who came to fix up our mikvah with the filters and everything. So the guy I know him for quite a few years. So we flew him in, and I was telling him that the Chazdei Hashem that I have seen in my 70 years, yesterday was my 70th birthday, there's this machlokus in Poskim whether you make a shechiyanu on the 70th day or not. Machlokus on Poskim, some say yes, you should, and some say. I brought along a few plums from Eretz Yisrael. I made shechiyanu on the plums the night I got home from my room. Baruch Hashem. But the idea was to recognize the Chazdei Hashem. And I said to him, I have to tell you that I grew up, whatever I grew up, if you can call what I am today grown up. But if I grew up, I found and I met so many people, and all of them beautiful people, all of them wonderful people, all through the koyach of Rabbeinu Zal, of Rabbi Menachem. And that included Jeff, Sholom, Yaakov, Don Bear, all of us. I met him years ago. I was in LA one time. He calls me up. He heard I was in town. He wanted to learn with me a little bit. And we started learning a little bit. A lot of things that went through life, whatnot. For whatever reason, he was chosen to leave the world last year, almost a year ago. And wherever it is, as Ram Sutton said earlier, that we all reach a certain point, and then we have to go, and we go up, and we're judged, and then we go up again, and we're judged again. The levushas, the mitzvahs, and whatnot. In their Shabbos is Haftarah in Yakov'S, there's a pasuk. Mi yolad li es eila, vani shchula v'gamuda. Who gave birth to all of these? And I am alone. I am shchula v'gamuda. I'm desolate. Goyla v'sura. People went through Golas, they went through different places. The Eila Migidel. I was out there, and who gave birth to all these multitudes of people that are now back in Yerushalayim and whatnot. With Nosson, I've seen it in other Svarim too. This refers to a person who could not do more than a certain amount of mitzvahs during their life. Whatever reason, a person does a mitzvah, does another one. And he goes up after 120 years and they look at him. And okay, this is what you got with you, huh? He sees the sack doesn't look that good. Sack is, okay, it's got mitzvahs in there, but it's not that full. But then all of a sudden, he begins to see, Mi Yolad Li Yisela. I see, I did 1,000 mitzvahs. I see 2,000. I see 10,000. I see 100,000. I see 1,000,000. I see 500 million. I said, what's going on here? Mi Yolad Li Yisela. Well, I didn't do this. I didn't even have the time to do it as a human being, right? Goyla v'sura v'ela migidel. When a person does a mitzvah, that from it comes out a chus harabim, a merit for the many, that person is credited with all the mitzvahs that other person does. So Sholom Yaakov gave us money, he helped us out to print the Rebbe's Svarim. And they went out, he was there, we could talk to him, we could sometimes give a shot in the arm that we may have needed, whatever. And there are people out there who learn this Svarim. I have a neighbor, I won't go into the details, but he wanted to build right on top of me. And he's trying to convince me, and I don't like the guy, so I didn't really want to give him permission. I would have given him eventually, but I gave him a hard time. I admit my faults today too. But he wasn't, whatever. He says to me once, you have to listen to this. If you let me build, you're going to have the mitzvah of Gemilas Chesed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what he tried to convince me that he should be able to do. I looked him straight in the eye and I said to him, I don't need it. In this case, Rosh Hashiva, looked him straight in, I don't need it. It's fine. He didn't know what to say. He couldn't believe that someone would say it. I said, I don't need it. Why? Because from the work that we've done, we have Gemilas Chesed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all around the globe. Literally all over the globe. And this is what I want to say, the schus of Sholom Yaakov, let it there. People should understand that when you do a Mesiras Nefesh, and what Nosson brings from Hilchos Avodah Zarah, it means everything is totally, you put some effort into it. If you put some effort into it, that's what really remains of the mitzvah, and that's what remains the levush of the mitzvah, of the neshama, from the Mesiras Nefesh that a person did. This is what happened with Sholom Yaakov. He had Mesiras Nefesh for a lot of people, a lot of things he did for people out there. One thing that comes to mind in Kutim Moran, the Pevov, the Rebbe says, they help Soadim, they eat 3 times on Shabbos, and there's really Friday night. He says, Soadim is from the Lashon Sa'ad, support. He says, when you support somebody, you give them something for Shabbos. You give them a little bit stoker for Shabbos, a little bit chesed for Shabbos, and whatnot. So you are now supporting on the levels that go up to Netzach Yisod, they go up to Bina, they go up to the highest levels. That's the accomplishment of your little avodah that you think, little thing. And that's the schus harabim. That's mira adliyas eila. We may have done 1,000 mitzvahs, which get credited for a few hundred million. Mesiras Nefesh, a little bit. That's a lesson that we can learn, and that's a lesson that we have to implement. And Be'ez Hashem, we should be zocheh to to implement the koyach of each mitzvah, and Shabbos especially. The Rebbe there speaks about what it means to support someone for Shabbos, give them a meal for Shabbos, what it means to give them some help, whatever the case might be. And Be'ez Hashem, we should all be zeicher to that kind of schus too, to do a schus harabim, to help people recognize there is a Rebbeinu Shalom, and that schus will see the bias for a tzedek and the Rebbe Shlema, made it for the Rebbe. Amen.
Amen.
Shut the camera.
Vai, vai cuidar alguém, né?
I knew Sholom Yaakov for many, many years, and I can say about him that he was a tremendous Baal Chesed, but it didn't come naturally to him. Actually, he was very frugal in his own life. He was almost miserly in terms of himself. And when it came to others, he actually forced himself very often to do what he did, and he overcame his natural tendencies. I remember I used to stay in his house, and many people would sort of crash in his house. But behind, he had a large room, which is his own bedroom, and everybody's running around, making a racket. He could go into his bedroom and shut the world out. But behind his bedroom, there was a little office that he had with a cot in there. And he used to let me stay there, which meant if I had to get up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom, I had to walk through his room. And every time I asked him to come to visit, he says, well, maybe, maybe not. And I'd have to sort of convince him. And then when I got there, he'd say, you know, it's such a great thing that you're here. Convince me again next year. Understand? And he would often ask me to learn with him Rabbi Nachman's Likutei Moharan. And the particular lesson that I learned with him a number of times, it's rather a large lesson, is V'yesa Orvim Tzavisi L'Chalkalecha, which has to do with Rabbi Nachman's understanding of charity, of giving tzedakah. Rabbi Nachman says, listen, any tzedakah that a person gives is a mitzvah. If Rockefeller gave a quarter to tzedakah, he gets a mitzvah. But it's not considered an avoda, a real service to God, unless a person feels that they're overcoming something in themselves. And so if I meet a poor man and he says, listen, I haven't paid my rent in 2 months, so I give him a certain amount of money. And he says, I have a child to support, so I give him for that too. Then I keep giving. At some point, I'm going to reach a place in myself where I feel if I give this person one more penny, it's like taking off a piece of skin, removing a piece of my own flesh. Says Reb Nachman, when you get to that point, every single penny you give after that, that's avoda. That's real service to God. That's what changes the threshold in me, which begins to be selfish and cruel, into something that's benevolent and loving and so on and so forth. And sort of it reminds me that actually in that same Torah, Rabbi Nachman brings the Gemara Shabbos that Avos Malachas Aboim Chasa Achas, that how many main works on Shabbos are you not allowed to do? Well, 40 minus 1. Question is, why not just say 39? And probably the Gemara itself didn't really know. So there's a lot of debate about why. Some people say because of each time that it says Malacha, Malachas, Malachto in the Torah, different expressions of work. Other people say because of the Rebbe Yehuda who wanted to. But anyway, Machlokes, I was once learning this piece with Aryeh Kaplan, Olav Sholom, who was very bright, brilliant. And he turns around to me and he says, you know, Gedalia, it could be that all this Machlokes, they didn't know why. They had a tradition. If somebody asks you how many main works or prohibitions on Shabbos are really forbidden, you have to answer 40 minus 1. And they forgot why. You know what I think? I think that really there are 40 kinds of work. It's just that one of them we're not worried about. Which one are we not worried about? The Yesh Mi'ayin, to create something out of nothing, ex nihilo. And that really is what Menachem is saying. That if a person really wants to emulate the ways of God, then God creates the world in order to be made of to give of his good to his creation. But how can how can we really emulate God? I mean, there comes a point where I have nothing to give and God has constant energy, constant goodness to give. So how can I take water out of a stone, so to speak? But Rabbi Nachman is saying that if I give beyond my own perceived capacity, then I'm emulating the kind of good that God does. That's a good that has no boundaries whatsoever at all. And Rabbi Nachman was once talking about people, the mitzvah to be Mekaref people, to go out and bring people to an appreciation of Torah and mitzvahs. Somebody asked him, wait a minute, doctor, heal yourself. I mean, I got so many things wrong with me, so many things that I didn't and don't do right. Why shouldn't I fix myself? How can I spend time worrying about somebody else when I myself am in so great a need of repair? Rabbi Nachman says, well, you know what? I'll tell you a story. There was once a zillionaire, somebody who had so much money, like incredible amount of money. You know what to do with it. Could have lived forever on the kind of money that he had. So one day decided to put an ad in the paper. Anybody wants to borrow money, come to me, and I'll just give it to you. And you don't have to worry about putting up collateral. You don't even have to worry about paying me back when it's not comfortable. All you have to do is tell me how much you need. I'll give it to you. But sign on the dotted line here that you borrowed this and this amount of money from me, and you owe it to me. And when you have it, you promise to pay it back. And then put your name and address next to it. So you can imagine that thousands and thousands of people came to borrow money for him. A number of years go by, and one day the rich man gets a knock on the door, and there's this little Jew there, and he says, sorry to disturb you. You probably don't remember, but like a certain number of years ago, you lent me $50. And I promised to pay you back. And I'll tell you the truth, it's been very difficult. I thought I could invest it and capitalize and make money. In fact, I'm poorer now than when I borrowed it. And yet it's on my conscience. I owe you the money. I don't want you to think I forgot about it. As a matter of fact, I haven't got what to pay you with in terms of cash, but I'm here to tell you I'm at your service. I mean, maybe I can wash your dishes. Maybe I'll do something for you. And the rich man says, you're out of your mind. I lend people hundreds, thousands of dollars. Nobody pays me back. You think I'm worried about your $50? He said, yeah, but that's those people. This is me. I really feel that I need to pay you back. When the wealthy man saw that this Jew is very sincere, he says, all right, come on into my house. And he leads him into a room, and there's filled with telephone books, filled with names and addresses of people all over who borrowed money from him, signed that they will pay him back when they have it. And he just sort of took out one page, one of these big telephone books, and he hands it to this person. He says, you know what? He says, yeah, take this and go look up these people and remind them that they owe me money. Some will pay you what they owe, and you'll give it to me. Some people will pay you a little bit. Some people won't pay you anything. But one thing is for sure, however much money you'll collect is more than you yourself owe. So that's why it's good to go and talk to people. But even then, talking to people, I mean, how many people can you actually go to? How many, even you spend your time. I mean, but what Sholom Yaakov did is, he didn't exactly remind people. What he did was he gave money. He helped in ways that, as a result of which, people were able to study in yeshiva. People were able to print svarim and hear in many different languages about the beauties of Yiddishkeit, Judaism, God. And this kept on going. After he passed away, the money that he gives is invested in all of these tools that keep on bringing people closer and closer to whatever it is that God created the world for, namely a sense of himself, which is the biggest blessing anybody could have. And so Sholom Yaakov overcame whatever it was in himself that didn't like to give. And he gave beyond what was natural to him. And then when he reached that point, he gave still beyond that. That's what it says in the Parsha, P'toach Tiftach. You should open and open again. It says Menachem that every time you give tzedakah in the right way, in a way that's a service, not just a mitzvah, every time you give that tzedakah, it opens you up from a deeper place. It opens up the compassion in you from a deeper place. And then when you get used to giving from that place, then you open up that place to an even deeper place. And it goes on and on and on. And like there's no end. There's no end to God's compassion. And I remember the last conversation I had with Sholom Yaakov, it's about a week before he passed away. He told me that he's going to be buried wherever he's going to be buried. And I said, well, why don't you get buried on a Har HaZeisim? He says, it's too much money. I said, what do you mean, you're worried about money? He says, no, you don't get it. He says, why should I spend extra money on a hole in the ground when I could give it to tzedakah? So that's who we're talking about. And his zechus should stand by us and be a reminder. And for
Amen. Amen.
Well, Baruch Hashem, many of us present have been beneficiaries of the hospitality and kindness of Rav Sholom Yaakov, Rav Dov Beer. The Tanakh tells us that David HaMelech's chief military officer, Yoav ben Zeruiah, lived in the wilderness. And the Chazal tell us that it's not that his house was specifically in the wilderness, but that it was like a wilderness which is completely open to everybody. Anybody can walk in, and I had the privilege to be in Rav Sholom Yaakov's home many times, and there were always all kinds of people around, some of them quite withdrawn, some of them studying Sfarim. The house was filled with piles of different Sfarim, of Tanakh and Mishnah and all of the other Sfarim. And I just, Ilu Nishmos, I'd like to learn a short piece from Rabbeinu Nachman from the Likutei Moharan, which I think brings out the most important point that is illustrated in a story that is told of Rabbi Nachman. That a young man came to him and said, Rebbe, give me a pathway in serving Hashem. And the Rebbe told the young man, well, you should every day go to a private place and just turn your face to the wall and plead with the Ribono Shel Olam to let me know what is my purpose in the world. What do you want from me? What is my goal? And if you just do that every day, the Rebbe told the young man, you will have revealed to you what you are to do in life. So the young man afterwards is passing by the Rebbe's door, and it's very slightly ajar. He's peeking through, and he sees that there is the Rebbe standing facing the wall with tears streaming down the Rebbe's cheeks, saying, Ribono Shel Olam, what do you want of me? What is the purpose of my life? What's my purpose? And knowing one's purpose in life is really a very important key to living a healthy life. and to healing if one's life has become dysfunctional. And this is what Menachem brings out in Likutei Moharan in a very short teaching in the first part of Likutei Moharan, Torah Reish Samach Ches, which in many ways encapsulates his whole pathway of health and of healing. He says, if a person does not look at the purpose of everything that goes through the universe, why should he be alive? The person's soul is constantly yearning to do the will of the one who formed her. When the soul of a person sees that the person is just not fulfilling their goal and their mission, the soul, God forbid, the soul is yearning to go back to her exalted root. The soul starts drawing out from the person's body. The soul progressively begins to leave the person's body so that they, out of that comes the person falling sick. The power of the soul has been weakened because she's drawing already out of herself, out of the body from the person, because the person is not doing the will of the soul. The soul only wants to do the will of God, blessed be He. So that really encapsulated in one short paragraph is why people might get sick. This is not a comprehensive theory of illness, but it does explain why many times people just fall into a rut and their vital forces leave them because they're not focused on the true purpose. Now, Reb Nachman, as we know, was not in favor of going to medical doctors. He saw that the roots of a person's sickness lie in the neshama. And even though today where healings are baduk u'museh, where something is tried and tested, we may seek medical health. The main healing Reb Nachman now teaches us is when a person awakens to the need to accomplish their goal. Why would it be that a person actually returned to good health through medicines? Reb Nachman, this was surprising that the medical remedies, the doctors could indeed do anything. He says the reason why they work is not because of their intrinsic chemical composition, is because the desire to get better causes the person already to project his thoughts onto his goals. The reason why a person may return to health through medicines is because the soul of that person sees that this person is able to bend himself, to force and control himself to do the opposite of what his innate desires and lusts and habits would encourage him to do. The person likes to eat bread and every other food that he likes to eat. Now the person gets the prescription from the doctor. He's got to take these medicines. He's got to take bitter herbs and drugs for the sake of his health. So he's got to bring his desires and his lusts into control. Now that the soul of that person sees that this individual is able to bend his natural desires for the sake of an ulterior purpose, he wants to get better. That is why the soul comes back to animate the person. The soul is hoping and expecting that this person is now going to control his lower material urges for the sake of the true purpose of existence, which is to do the will of the one who created the person. May he be blessed. So may we all take the example of Sholom Yaakov, Rav Sholom Yaakov, Rav Dov Ber, of opening ourselves to every other person, to seeing the Nekudas Tovos, the good points in each and every neshama, each and every person that we come into contact with, and whether we have means or we do not have means, a kind expression on one's face, a sympathetic ear is the key to bringing together in Achdus, in unity, the souls of Israel, so that together we will quickly receive Melech HaMoshiach, receive the rebuilding of our temple, Kibbutz Galayois, in Gula Shalemo, in Meir V'Menu, Amen. You don't need to call this part.
Shabbos. Anyway, I'm just gonna say 2 words and we're gonna go, yeah? Okay, so just want to announce that we're starting a smicha program this coming year after Sukkot, and that thanks to Sholom Yaakov, Oliver Sholom, we're establishing a scholarship fund in his name. So all the things that you've all said about the multiple ripple effects of all the good deeds that he did and the mitzvahs that he's done, Baruch Hashem, we also have a part in continuing to propagate his good deeds. Just want to say one thing is that it's amazing. He knew that he's doing a lot of good, but he made everybody feel that you're doing him a favor, right? I know that that's the way he always made me feel, like I'm doing him a favor. And in reality, he was doing every one of us enormous favors. Anyway, so Schusser Yog and Lorenu, and should be a Me'elis Yosher for all of Am Yisrael. I'm sure that that's exactly what he's doing. I'm sure that he's in his sweet ways nudging up there, right? And he wanted to see everybody. He wanted to see everything, people happy. He wanted to see people learning. That gave him his biggest nachas. But what he cared about most was that the Rebbeinu Shalom should have nachas from us having nachas with each other. So B'shatta D'Shmaya, that he was very supportive of Reb Shlomo's teachings. Rav Shlomo used to say, everybody has to have 2 rabbis, Rabbi Nachman and whoever else is going to be a rabbi. And he, so Baruch Hashem, we're getting some good Talmidim that are going to be in this program, and we're going to make sure that they know about Sholom Yaakov and about his midas, Yirtzeit Hashem, and there'll be a real hemshech for all the good that he's done. And Shivana Beisamidish from Meir V'Menu Sanchal Kenu Sanchal. Shivana Beisamidish V'Meir V'Yomeinu Zayvegin V'Zayru Secha. Shivana Beisamidish V'Yomeinu Zayvegin V'Zayru Secha. You don't have to apologize.
Reach a certain point.
The first time I went to speak